First of all, I want to thank Chairman Booker and Ranking Member Rounds for holding this hearing, and I know that these nominees have all served their country already, but I want to thank you for stepping up to serve again. And with regard to Africa, enormous potential, often overlooked, and so for our nominees heading to African countries, we need your U.S. presence there. I'm heading to Africa, to East Africa, mostly with Senator Coons in a couple of weeks, and we look forward to that visit. But there's so many questions I could ask about that, but I'm going to focus on something else, which is Mr. Fick. And again, appreciate your service, including in the Marine Corps. What I'm concerned about is that we have overlapping responsibilities and authorities with regard to our cyber defense, and this has been something I've worked on for a while with very little result, actually. We seem to keep adding more and more top cybersecurity positions to our government, and the org chart troubles me. More importantly, what troubles me is that without accountability, I'm worried that things will happen, and it's too easy to point fingers. As we saw after the Colonial Pipeline incident, you probably recall, everyone was pointing fingers. So we have this top position of the Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber already, which is obviously international in orientation. We have the federal CISO, of course, at OMB. We have the National Cyber Director, which was established by this Congress after a commission report that indicated we needed a national director. We have the CISA Director at the Department of Homeland Security. One could argue that we also have at every agency and department others, but in effect, they're reporting up at least to somebody. But your position that you are being nominated for is a new one, and I think it overlaps with the Office of the National Cyber Director. The legislation says that that director shall serve as the principal advisor to the President relating to coordination of diplomatic and other efforts to develop norms and international consensus around responsible state behavior in cyberspace, end quote. So I just want to know from you, one, are you sensitive to this issue and aware of it? And again, as someone with a military background, I imagine you share some of my concerns. And I'd like to hear those if you do. And how you intend to conduct yourself in this role so that you can fit into this construct. Congress is not very good at org charts, so it really will be the responsibility of the individuals who have these jobs to work together and to not allow the gaps in accountability, in particular with regard to the National Cyber Director's role, which seems to overlap directly with the State Department Cyber and Digital Policy Bureau functions responsibilities. How would you work collaboratively across all departments to assure that we're not being duplicative and ensure that we have accountability?
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate the question and the sentiment behind it. I think in addition to my military experience, my experience building and leading a business instilled in me an appreciation for a clear chain of command, an appreciation for clear and well-defined swim lanes, an appreciation for accountability, and kind of a wry sense that it is always easy to add, but it's hard to subtract. And so I come to this role with a heightened sense of concern about the issue that you raise. And that said, I have a strong conviction that this role actually fills a gap that has existed in our government. When I was leading a business and working with the government in this space, CISA has a strong presence here, the White House has a strong presence here, the Defense Department has a strong presence here, and the State Department has not. And I believe that diplomacy should be our tool of first resort. I believe in the intrinsic value of diplomacy. And so I think this role actually does fill an important gap in the cyber and tech responsibilities across the government. I have known Director Inglis and Ann Neuberger and Jen Easterly in different capacities for more than a decade. I have full confidence that we can carve out the right swim lanes. And I hope that as the, if confirmed, as the inaugural ambassador leading this office, we could create clear lines of responsibility that outlive any individual.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the fact you recognize the overlap and the potential conflicts, and most importantly, again, just the notion that accountability is necessary for us to be sure we are covering our bases with regard to this growing threat that we face as a country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.